Welcome to the Love Government. I'm Dennis Leary. We're doing a series of videos called Sex Cards. We are on the 40th episode in a series of 52 episodes. This one is called Blue because it's in the light suit, which is the 6th suit over this way, going up here, and it is the fifth level up, so we call it the 5 of light, and it's called blue. We're going through the spectrum, in other words. We're traveling through ourselves, all 52 aspects of ourselves, and we're going home. Home being the place where we're in love. We're lovers, true lovers. Blue has two sides, as life does, and all of the cards have two sides. They have a back and a front. And when they spin, they make energy. They produce love. On the positive side, it's glad blue. And on the negative side, it's sad blue. Glad and sad are the polarities. The card in the Tarot love system is called Judgment. And there you have a scene of final judgment. That's a religious notion, dramatization of something that goes on within us all of the time. We make judgments all the time with our mind and other faculties. We judge things, we evaluate things, we separate things. And that's the way we gather knowledge. We have to make judgments about things. Relative value, set things up in priorities, distinguish. It's all about critical thinking, and that is very necessary. That's the judgment process, which is the natural process for us. This is portraying the final judgment. When all of those judgments come together in one place and time, then there's a final judgment. And really, we're going to be judged by ourselves. We're going to do the judgment upon ourselves. It's portrayed as God or some big judge in the sky passing judgment on us, but the process is more natural and internal. The card shows an angel once again, which we interpret as a lover or the lover. She has two wings, two sides, which means the two sides of her body, like the two sides of the cards, two sides of the body. The wings also are a bird metaphor, which means we can fly like birds. We can fly very high like mental birds. We can fly to the stars and back, just like that. Think star and come back. We have all these capacities, which is a freedom movement of a bird type of thing. And here the angel, the bird lover, is blowing a trumpet to get our attention. In other words, this is a very solemn ceremony. The trumpets are blowing. It's a ceremonial, ritual type of thing. She's holding a flag, red cross. Red and white are the woman's colors of her blood, menstruation, and her ejaculatory vaginal fluids. It's a earth-based system that we don't get in our culture because we've been brainwashed and brain-snatched. But we have still 1% left, and we can use that trace, that residue, to trace ourselves back to our true reality. And that is what we are going to be judged by. We are going to be judged by the law of love, ultimately. That judgment is dramatized here by these bodies coming out of a tomb, up high apparently in the world, up on top of, looks like a snow scene, yes, water and snow. And the angel's coming out of the cloud again. It's a cloud of lovers. And the judgment is being passed in a final sense. The standard of judgment in all the dimensions of time, space, number, life, light, and sound, and form is the law of love. That's going to be applied to us. And we can apply it right now. Are we loving or are we not? That's the basic, oversimplified of course, and there's all kinds of gray areas, rainbow colors in between, but basically we're going to make a choice. We are making a choice with every thought, word, and action for love or anti-love. And there's a big thing in the middle, but that's the basic choice. Are we lovers or are we killers? That's putting it in extremity, but in the extreme we can see the positional situation of it. That's why we do it. What would that look like? Are we going to be judged for our words or our actions, or both? Well, if it was one or the other, it would probably be our actions. In the love government, we use a handbook or a manual of 5 basic acts or actions. And those are, the thumb stands for clitoral thinking, because the thumb more or less resembles the head of the clitoris of a woman. So we have clitoral thinking as opposed to clinical thinking on the other side. Now, clinical thinking is a problem insofar as it's artificial and divorced from nature. Clinical thinking is not necessarily, none of these are necessarily bad, but it shows a tendency towards getting away from nature, getting away from the reality of the world, which is natural, which is portrayed mythically as a garden. We're in a loving situation. We're using natural methods. We're eating a healthy diet. We're not abusing animals. We're not keeping pets. We're not having our energy siphoned off in that way. We're not adulterating our species. We're not marrying for all kinds of power, inauthentic reasons, fear, incompleteness, lack. We set up these nuclear marriages, and then the final that would be the fourth one. The fifth one is money. The whole money system is a terrible, toxic thing that we're under. These are the 5 principles, the 5 acts by which we're going to be judged by the law of love. What did we think about? What do we think about? What do we value? What do we desire with the faculties that we have, or will? And one way to spell it out is to say, okay, on one side it's killing, and the other side it's loving. On one side it's clinical, mechanistic, machine-like, sterile, artificial. In the long run, non-functional. In the long run, that doesn't mean there are exceptions for the rule. And the other side is clitoral, which is to honor, to think about sexuality in terms of the clitoris, the lover, putting the woman at the center, the love system, with man helping, all of this that I've gone over and over and over and over. And you can find more and more in the book. In other words, there's a judgment being, every action has a judgmental quality to it. And we're setting up our life some way. Now we kind of like go down the middle. We're not living on the extremes, but these indicate to us tendencies by which we are going to be judged. And with the judgment, with the final judgment, there will be consequences. Because life also has a karmic side, there are strings attached to everything we do. And we think we're going to get away with things when we're really not going to get away with things. We're going to be held accountable for all the things that we do under the love system. Because love is responsible. It allows for freedom, but love is not a free-for-all system. It's a well-governing system by the government of love. So we are going to be judged, we're going to judge ourselves by, as the love government sees it, and this is not the only way, of course, clitoral thinking, Eden vegan diet, a healthy vegan, because you can get sick and die on a vegan diet, but it's got to be a healthy Eden vegan diet, and then it's a free animality. That's this finger. I'm going down the fingers, by the way. These are the 5 digits: the thumb, the tasting finger, and then the animal finger, which is sex, the sexual finger. What are we doing to our animal selves? What are we doing? Are we ourselves setting up these slaughterhouses, fence systems, cages, experimenting way out of order or need on animals? And then the soft side of all of this, are we keeping pets? Because in the process of pethood, which is kind of a neurotic attempt to compensate for lack of love, which we should be getting from within ourselves and from our peers, our fellow humans, and being concerned about them, then no, we can't do that. We set up a substitute lover, and we have subliminal sex with an animal. That process of adulteration was condemned prior to the craziness of patriarchy, and it's still preserved in the Ten Commandments, which come from the pagans, they have the roots back in the love culture. It says, do not commit adultery. What does that mean? It doesn't mean adultery with another human being, because God himself is saying, go and kill the other human beings. It meant, do not adulterate your species with animals, red-blooded, blood animals. Make a distinction between mammals who have red blood and those animals that do not have red blood. But blood is the thing that ties us together. So that's the third finger of animality. So it's free animality or animalism, freedom. Don't be collaring, corralling, torturing, killing the animals, or actually killing their whole species. That's what we're doing. That's condemned in the Ten Commandments, and it's also frowned upon, to say the least, by the love government. That's the middle finger, and then the ring finger here in the States anyway is about marriage. We've got to get the marriage system straightened out. We get married to the lover who is all of us. It's the generality of lovers. It's all people, always, and loving everything. That's the sacred sacramental marriage, as opposed to the nuclear coupling marriage, where you couple up like this. Out of what? All kinds of crazy reasons. It's a nuclear couple, and then it makes a nuclear family, and that system helps to lead to, by a slippery slope method, to nuclear war. Believe it or not. It doesn't matter whether we believe these things or not. Not in the least. If they are governed by a natural law that has real consequences. It doesn't care if you believe it or I believe it or not. It's still going to happen. And then the fifth finger is the money system. That's twirling people around a little finger by the money system, which is totally corrupt as we have it today, exploitative. And that includes the stocks, the bonds, the shareholders, the loans, the debt. All of that is toxic to us. So, thank you for joining us on this journey. And we can be glad, or we can be sad. We can have the blues, or we can have the good news. And we hope it's good news. Thank you. Love, always love, always. Thank you.